Sir, we are good to go, sir.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, Pawan.
Yeah, very good evening and warm welcome to another Vitamin F3 web series on financial fitness for pediatricians. So I welcome all for this program and I welcome. Sorry for that echo, sir. I welcome Dr. Ajay Kumar, sir, who is the founder of this Vitamin F3 series, which was started as a financial education platform for pediatricians across the Telangana state. Now it is the fourth year almost, and now we have today a special guest to discuss on prescription for physicians. So we have a very special guest today, Sudhakar Jairam sir, who is an author, learner, and teacher. He is the author of bestseller Where Medicine Meets Money. So this is what is very important for all the physicians across the country. And with 25 years of experience across India, China, Nepal, UAE, and USA, he has led the healthcare and technology programs that delivers positive clinical and financial outcomes. He also advises enterprises on AI-led digital transformation, hospital planning, early detection programs, and health economics as an executive coach and also C-level advisor. We are very happy and very proud to have you, sir, Sudhakar Jairam, sir, amongst us. And I request Dr. Ajay Kumar, sir, who is the founder, inspiring personality, and a mentor for all of us in the financial segment, being a pediatrician. So over to Ajay, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pawan, for that good introduction of our guest speaker today, Mr. Sudhakar Jairam, sir. Dear friends, I want to introduce the unique topic today, which we are going to deal with. It will unroll by itself when you start hearing to the mesmerizing talk by Mr. Sudhakar. I have heard him physically in High Tech City in Hyderabad when he came as a visiting speaker. And also, I bought his book, Where Medicine Meets Money, and I'm going through it. There are few things which you should know as a physician, as a doctor, as an entrepreneur, how we at the hospital level, even at the clinic level, and also a corporate level, we interact with our administration, patients, and also financial aspects of it, economics of it. Mr. Sudhakar is an expert in it with his vast experience across the world: China, Nepal, USA, India, UAE, and across other areas of the globe with his immense insights into the hospital's mechanics of the finances and economics and administration. We are glad to have him here, sir, and we will be hopeful to gain insights, knowledge from you. We have also heard you earlier in the artificial intelligence group, where and also in CMIC. So he is our regular speaker with us. What I now want to just highlight is that I've recently bought his book. This is the book which I am reading also. This is Where Medicine Meets Money. And I will just read, sir, with your permission, one or two quotes which you have mentioned. Prescription one, move the cheese. That's what he says in the chapter 13. He took a very nice allegory. He said, when the plane crashes, we investigate the system. It takes long time to pinpoint. We haven't done to the measure plane crash even now till today, even after a couple of months, with so many people involved in it. But when the patient dies, Mr. Sudhakar says, we blame the doctor straight away. That's a very, very sad part of it, our profession and our hospital image. Second, he says in the chapter 14, where he said, prescription for relax. Maximize vacation time is in the bracket he mentioned, and he says, success at work means nothing if you fail at home. We at F3 keep telling making money, creating money, building a corpus is of no use if you can't spend have a family time or be with your family and children at the end of the day. And then lastly, I will just quote one important thing which nowadays artificial intelligence you are seeing everywhere. Sir says AI won't replace doctors, but doctors who use AI will replace those who don't. Actually, he took the quote from Dr. Eric Topol. So he has a fantastic insight himself, and also a philosophical outlook. Jiddu Krishna's quote he made, the ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. So, Mr. Sudhakar Jairam comes with a very good background and insights. Of course, I have to tell this, and he will also accept it. He is a cancer survivor. He is going through deep involvement in his treatment himself in the hospitals. So he has got a viewpoint which we all should listen and understand. With these few words, if we have the president of PATS around and or the secretary of PATS, or even if the PATS senior people, EB members, kindly say a few words. And if Dr. Harish Gopal, our academic director, is around, I request him to just open up and start Mr. Sudhakar's talk. Sir, you can start the talk, sir.
Okay. So I don't know where to start from really after that generous introduction. You're being very kind. I'm not sure I deserve so much, but I'll accept it with humility. The talk today is personal because I think that financial health for doctors cannot be separated from their psychological and their emotional infrastructure. And I've had the opportunity to interact closely with doctors as a CEO for over 25 years, working with large hospitals across various regions. But as you mentioned, Dr. Ajay, it was really the last 4 years when I got diagnosed with late-stage cancer and was given limited time that I could really understand a doctor's psyche and what's happening. And therefore, it was also during this period that I had the opportunity to clear my head and write this book. Today, I will only, because we have a paucity of time, I'll only briefly mention on those two topics you mentioned about the Swiss cheese, and we'll adapt it to the hospital, about the mindset shift, which I think doctors should consider, and why I think it's important that doctors consider looking at how they invest their time. So with that brief background, let me just share my screen. Just tell me once my screen is visible, sir. Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, so as I said, typically doctors give us prescriptions. So today, as an ordinary person who has received, because of doctors' effort, I'm still around, I want to offer some prescriptions to doctors. And the point I want to make is, I think doctors have ceded a lot of space to management and administration, whether you're working in a hospital or even at your clinic. But generally what has happened is, because doctors have kind of distanced themselves from leadership and being involved with a lot of policy decisions, a lot of things, a lot of important decisions today get taken without the doctors actually being part of making those decisions. So my argument is, we need the doctors in our boardroom as much as we need them in our procedure room and in the operating room. The other point I want to also make before I get started is, unlike in the past, when it was a very simple relationship between the doctor and the patient, like a parent and a child, the relationship today between doctors and patients, especially in a hospital ecosystem, is incredibly complex. You have banks, you have shareholders, you have operations managers, you have private equity players, you have regulators, and today patients are also very litigious, and they are now healthcare consumers. Increasingly, doctors are now joining hospitals. 75 to 80% of the doctors are now part of large corporate hospitals. And these hospitals are now owned by large private equity firms. Very few doctors have their own clinics or are joining their own practices. In a private healthcare system, economics is going to be front and center. And there is always going to be a conflict between medicine, good medicine, and good economics. And I think the problem is when good medicine gives too much weight to good economics, there can only be a compromise. There can only be a compromise. And if there has to be a good compromise between good economics and good medicine, then my argument and case is that doctors have to be involved at the leadership level. I'm not saying doctors may have time for day-to-day management, but key decisions in a hospital, in a clinic, cannot be taken without the doctors adequately being part of it. And today, I'm going to talk about 4 things, but I'll briefly introduce 3 things. Number 1, give you a brief introduction to the Swiss cheese, and I will adapt the idea of the Swiss cheese to hospitals. We will talk about shifting the mindset, why I think doctors should have a dual mindset. I'm going to argue that doctors, by their very nature, behave more like high-performance athletes. They're very quick. But then when doctors have to get involved with leadership and with policy making, they may have to make that shift a little bit. So I'll talk briefly about that. And most importantly, as Dr. Ajay very kindly mentioned about the quote in my book, relax. Because there's no point succeeding at work if you fail at home. And doctors today not only have professional challenges, they also have personal challenges because of the time constraints and other reasons. So all of this is covered in the book, which Dr. Ajay mentioned. And if you find some of this relevant, whenever you get time, consider reading this. It's available on all platforms. So let's get started. So the first thing that I want to talk about is before we get into the prescriptions is to get into the minds of our physicians, right? What I see in society today is a phenomenon that I call dehumanization of doctors. So what happens is 2 extremes. When we face an illness, whether it is acute or chronic, as patients, we rush to doctors, we unload all our endless physical and mental struggles onto our doctors. And at that time, we elevate these doctors to the status of demigods, and we place them in impossible pedestals. And yet the very next day, we can tear them apart, we can accuse them of profiteering, and we can also paint doctors as the villains of the piece and even go towards, filing suits and creating a contradictory cycle, which not only undermines the medical profession, but it forgets a simple truth. And the simple truth is that doctors are human and doctors deserve our understanding. And it is about time that ordinary citizens like us and the society in general starts understanding that our doctors are not doing too well. Both professionally and personally, they have challenges, and those challenges must be understood so that the relationship that the doctor has with the patient is more empathetic. The first thing is, unlike most professions, doctors endure. I'm an engineer, and then I did my marketing and business policy from some top schools in engineering and in MBA. But then most of my doctor friends endure an extremely long and grueling training period. They're almost in their mid-30s by the time they settle down and their practices are settled down, which is not the case with most of the professions. On top of this, education, they're also burdened with debt. A lot of this is not known to most people, and they don't have a big time window by that, because a doctor also has to build their personal reputation and their personal practice. And we are looking at a situation where doctors are not okay, and their mental well-being is a problem. In fact, the suicide rates among doctors is 21% higher than it is in police officers. That statistic is alarming. Suicide rates in our doctors, and I am not saying this, this is published by the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. Doctors are one of the most stressed one of the most burdened and burnt out professions. And unless we talk about this and bring this conversation more to the mainstream, doctors are going to pretend that they are okay, but they're not okay. And we need to understand that they deserve our understanding. And I'm going to share a few studies to illustrate this problem. 70% of chief physicians in Germany experience a detrimental effect of the economic burden of healthcare, right? Of economic burden of economics in healthcare. And this is in a public healthcare system. So you can imagine what is happening to a doctor who's working in a private healthcare system like in India or in other emerging markets. If a patient were to come to a doctor today and say, "Doctor, is this the right diagnosis and is this the right treatment for me?" In today's scenario, sometimes the doctor might find that question difficult to answer honestly with their hands in their hearts. Doctors should never be in such a dilemma. But I suspect that a significant proportion of doctors, especially in corporate fee-for-setting facilities, privately may admit that sometimes patients are overdiagnosed and receive overtreatment. 80% of the physicians are at full capacity or are overextended. Burnouts, 78% of the doctors have, these are all documented. And this is not a statistic that is coming, oh, sorry, did you lose me?
The only slides gone, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Reshare it, sir. Yeah.
Let me reshare it. Yeah. One second. I'm turning it off and sharing again. Just bear with me.
Stop sharing and resharing.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, is it back up, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. 80%. Okay, I was just saying that this numbers that I'm saying is not a 1 year, 2 year number. This is like 2 decades of survey across geographies, across over 7,000 doctors. So this is something that is happening across the world. Nobody wants to talk about it. 80% of the doctors are at full capacity or are overextended. 78% have experienced burnouts. And as I just said, doctors are 1.87, almost 2 times more likely to commit suicide than others in other professions, right? Less than half, only 48% of the doctors believe that they are fairly compensated for their work. More than 52% are dissatisfied. Now, most people may not agree with this. They may think the doctor is making a lot of money. But if you take into context and factor in the hours they put in, the risk that they undertake, most doctors feel that they're not adequately compensated. Also, as I said, the tuition and the preparation process, you do your MBBS, your MD, your DM, your MCH, and all of those postdoctoral fellowships, you can be in your mid to late 30s by the time you settle down and then build your personal brand. Debts are taken. The working hours are demanding. And much of those working hours can be non-bedside administrative duties for which sometimes you may not get paid. You have to do midnights. You have to be on call, maybe not fairly compensated sometimes. You're in the way of risk. A hospital is a very dangerous place. It's got pathogens. It's safe, but it's also bloody dangerous. Now, if you take all of these risks into consideration, it is understandable why doctors feel that they are not adequately compensated. 46% have considered changing their career. If 51% of the doctors, if you were to take them back in a time machine, if you take all the doctors back into a time machine, only 51% of them who are doctors today would choose medicine again. That's an alarming statistic. And then finally, it says 55% here, but in my personal surveys, it's gone up to as high as 70%. 55 to 70% won't recommend medicine to their kids. Amongst all these trends, it is this last trend which caught my attention. And that singularly gives us a vivid description of the mindset of our doctors. Their lives are not easy, personally and professionally. And as recipients of medical service, people like me, we must understand that if we don't keep doctors' well-being in our minds, if society does not keep the doctors' well-being in our minds, then we have a problem. A flight will not take off even if a single cabin crew member, an air hostess, is missing or is delayed, right? But imagine an OT. A doctor has to move on. And most of the time, the aeroplane is in a very fit condition, but that's not the case with the body on the table. So we have a situation where the stress of the hours, the demands, and all the other players in this industry which have competing and divergent demands have created such a complex ecosystem that our doctors are stressed, they're burdened, and they're burnt out. In addition, 52% of the doctors indicate that the relationship that they have with the hospital management is negative. So a lot of doctors feel that these CFOs, finance guys, and operations guys are sitting in their rooms. They're not by the bedside. They're in an ivory tower, and they are only pursuing financial goals at the expense of patient and physician safety. Conversely, some of the management people feel that doctors don't understand economic nuances, and they're not understanding the challenges, and doctors are only worried about patient safety and their compensation. Now, both these perceptions have some merit. But the question is, how often has a CEO or a CFO sat in the OPD, sat in the operating room, understand the bedside dynamics? And how often has the doctor participated in understanding budgeting, governance? And this alienation cannot be addressed unless there is a bit of both coming into each other's space. And finally, up to 70% of the doctors are now part of the employed model. There are very few independent practitioners. Most of the doctors are now employees of large corporate hospitals, and this trend is only increasing. And as this trend increases, doctors are surrendering leadership responsibilities, which I'm arguing is a problem. Because healthcare is not like banking or aviation or any other industry. The complexities and the spectrum of knowledge that is needed in healthcare is so demanding that you will need a doctor and a physician in your boardroom. But our doctors may be reluctant leaders, but we will come to that in a bit. And therefore, we face what I call the great physician predicament. There is less autonomy. There's not much role in administration. Compensations are a problem. And frontline doctors may not have actually seen themselves as a leader. But I'm hopeful that after COVID, we saw our doctors giving their lives. People got a view of what doctors are during COVID. And it is my hope that as we move away from turnaround times, wait times, door to needle time, door to balloon time, average revenue per bed, average operating revenue per bed, average patient, we have all these metrics, nothing wrong with it. But as these metrics move towards more clinical and safety-related metrics, maybe, just maybe, our doctors might be more keener to take on a more leadership role. Therefore, the question is, how do we make our doctor's life easier? I suggest a four-pronged strategy, right? we have time to look at the first three in some detail. The last one, which is called aligning key components, is a longer, I've been developing this course for doctors when I was lying in bed with chemo and all of this, which includes leadership for doctors, strategy for doctors, how to start a hospital for doctors, risk management for doctors, wealth management. So there's a lot of content just based on my discussions with my doctor friends and what I thought was needed. We don't have time for that. But if Dr. Ajay is also a mentor to me, and I'm so fortunate to have met people like Dr. Ajay, if they have, I'm more than happy to share some of that. I'm not sure if it'll be useful, but I'll be more than happy to share what I've distilled. Today, I'll give you a brief introduction to hospital Swiss cheese, why I think you should shift your mindset, and about relaxation. Let's get to hospital Swiss cheese. Before that, am I audible? Is it clear? Am I going too fast?
You're perfect.
Is it okay?
Perfect, sir.
Yeah, nobody's going to sleep, hopefully. Bear with me, maybe another 10 minutes, and then we'll open it up for questions. So I want to talk about the hospital Swiss cheese. One thing I see in hospital is they have they say this is medical and this is non-medical. It's laughable. There is nothing non-medical about a hospital. Everything has a bearing on patient safety and our doctors' well-being. I don't know how many doctors are part of this seminar, but how many of you, I'm asking you, maybe, we don't have time for polling, but just think about it. How many of you, or did it occur to any of you that flawed capital structuring or poorly funded working capital can affect patient safety? As I said, when a plane crashes, we investigate the system. When a patient dies, we summon the doctor and we blame the doctor. Right? But sometimes adverse events has many reasons. Because when there is an adverse event, you always see the patient. Have you ever seen a patient filing a legal suit against a CFO or a CEO or some board member? नहीं ना, कभी नहीं होता है. बोलते हैं डॉक्टर कौन है, एडमिटिंग डॉक्टर कौन है, सर्जन कौन है, पीडियाट्रिशियन कौन है, right? Isn't the likelihood of the doctor getting sued and the likelihood of the doctor's reputation being tarnished much higher? Has anyone taken the CEO or the CFO to task? My point with the hospital Swiss cheese, which I will illustrate in a minute, is simple. When something goes wrong, or as they say, when shit happens, many things go wrong simultaneously. But we are very good at finding one reason, which is the doctor, because it is easier to nail a scapegoat. We are lazy to investigate. We are lazy to examine. And we don't give a shit about the truth. We just want to find some reason and nail somebody, and it's usually the doctor. This is where I want to introduce the idea of the Swiss cheese. This is an idea, I think it was in the 1990s. A person called Professor Dr. James Reason, a very beautiful idea by Professor James Reason in the University of Manchester. He developed this basic idea to say, he developed this idea to illustrate the complexities of error prevention and risk management, especially in complex systems like hospitals. He didn't develop it for hospitals. I just kind of made it for hospitals. He probably did it for, I don't know, nuclear power plants or aviation or something. Anyway, the idea is that each Swiss cheese, Swiss cheese has these holes, right? Each Swiss cheese has these holes which symbolize the vulnerability that lurk in each layer. And each layer is also the defense against an adverse outcome. So what happens is, if there are holes in these layers, and if these holes align, then it creates what is known as an accident pathway. And it is the responsibility of the board of the CEO to make sure that these holes are plugged. But what do? Call the doctor. So for example, funding and resources. If you don't fund the hospital adequately with adequate equity and adequate debt, most hospitals will take 90% debt. They will not make enough money to pay the bank interest, and then working capital will get screwed. Vendors will not be paid. Doctors' payments will be delayed. Won't it affect patient safety? But if there's a problem, call the doctor. You don't design the OTs carefully. You don't calibrate the lab equipment properly. You don't have enough maintenance, which is predictive, or you defer it, can cause patient harm. The humidification or temperature may not be maintained. If there is a problem, call the doctor. Nurses are picked up from some random college, which may not even have a hospital attachment, poorly trained. Total distraction with mobile phones. Tired and fatigued. There's a patient event. Whose problem? HR problem. But no, doctor is called. Organization's culture, the leadership, the board does not clearly implement an organizational structure. The owner or the promoter becomes manager, operator, and conveniently owner when they want. There's no clear differentiation between governance, leadership, and direction. They create a culture where politics can be promoted. And if that creates a problem with the patient, who is called? The doctor. Policies are incomplete. Nurses are in a rush at the time of nursing shifting handovers. If that handover is not properly done and if there is a medication error, who is called? The doctor. The point I'm trying to make is that so many things can go wrong. Sorry, is everyone with me? Sometimes I just want to make sure.
Yes,
Audible?
sir.
Yeah.
It's
So many things can go wrong.
Audible, sir.
Yeah, so many things
Audible.
can go wrong, but then we are very quick and nobody's trying to fix the whole thing and look at the whole beast. And this is where I want to share a quick story, maybe 5 minutes, 2 minutes actually. I was a CEO in a large hospital. I can't mention the name. The neurosciences department was led by a very good friend of mine, one of the most reputed neurosurgeons in the region. He had a high caseload and he operated once on a young adult. A surgery was done. Patient was in the ICU for a regulated period, rehab, patient was discharged. Everything seemed fine. Few days later, the patient was wheeled in with complications. Symptoms and diagnostics indicated a virulent bacterial infection. Obviously, we had to intervene. It was an anxious period. The surgeon came back in. A revision surgery was done, and everything seemed fine until 2 days later, the patient's family blamed the surgeon and filed a lawsuit against the surgeon for medical negligence and malpractice. Journalists, who are generally, I'm not surprised, but I don't think journalists are interested in the truth. They want entertainment, so they damage the doctor's reputation. I saw all of this happening in front of me. We ordered an investigation because I knew that there was more to this, but we had to give something, and we ordered an investigation, and the investigation report was very clear. The reasons for the adverse event, which was this bacterial colonization, was number one, OT maintenance. Temperature and humidity were not optimum. Maintenance and facility problem. Anybody ask about that? No, call the doctor. OT maintenance funding was disbursed or not disbursed in time because working capital was poor. Management problem. Caseload problem of the doctor. There were many other reasons, but medical negligence, doctors by himself doing a mistake was not the problem. Now, if the doctor had said the temperature and humidity is not correct, I will not operate, still you will blame the doctor. You know what I'm saying? You will not tell the pilot, take the flight off if there is a technical error. But even if all these problems are there, you expect the doctor to move on. So as a society, we must understand that we don't have depth. We are very quick to superficially point fingers and blame the doctor. It is about time that the doctors, if the doctor is involved in the board, then these things the doctor will point out and say, these affects what I do. Because ultimately it's the patient and the physician, that's it. That sacred atomic interaction must be preserved, and all these other things, the promoter, the regulator, the manager, the finance must be behind and around them, not in between them, to assist a positive outcome. And this brings me to the second thing, that the second prescription. So the first prescription was, of course, I couldn't get into detail, but have a look at my book, or I'll give you my contacts at the end of this. Happy to share whatever on that, so doctors can be aware of what they are into. Second is a mindset shift. What I feel is that doctors are instinctive because of the way you have trained, and because of the vocabulary of insights that you have, and the knowledge that you have accumulated about the complex biology and the trajectory of a disease. And because you save lives, and because you face emergencies, you are instinctive, almost like a high-performance athlete. A doctor is like a high-performance athlete. You can anticipate where the ball is going to be returned, just like Roger Federer. The argument I'm making is that by nature, doctors are instinctive. But when it comes to management or the boardroom, nothing is instinctive. It's a completely different thought process and a completely different thought pattern. And one way doctors can improve the relationship between administration and medical disciplines is to change the mindset a little bit. Because remember, doctors can do what the managers can do, but the managers can never do what the doctors can do, right? Doctors can equip themselves to understand concepts of basic leadership, essentials of economics, and other things. A manager is never going to be able to understand sepsis, lupus, intubation and disease trajectory, nothing. So therefore, I'm recommending that the doctor take some time to also develop a system, what I call system. I don't call it, I call it deliberate thought process, moving from an instinctive behavior, which is natural to doctors, to being a little bit more, what word should I use, conscious and guarded. So when you walk away from your OT and from your ward or from your OPD, and you're going towards the administration wing, which is normally nicely carpeted and people are having coffee and sitting around a table looking at some spreadsheet, change your mindset and become almost Zen-like and disarm them with a different mindset. And that mindset I call System 2, for which I have leaned upon the work done by Nobel laureate, Professor Daniel Kahneman. If you have not read his book, please read his book, Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow. And I'm going to talk about what he says from this book. As you can see the source, you can take the Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow. Right? So I'm going to lean on this. I'm going to argue that doctors need to make the shift from System 1, in which I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, most doctors naturally tend to be, which is the automatic, everything's quick, fast, to moving to a bit of DTP, deliberate, which he calls System 2. So automatic system, the brain, this thinking process resides in the limbic system. We also call it the reptilian brain, which is at the base of the stem. Whereas System 2 is in the front, neocortex. ATP is very quick. This is very slow, but doctors need to be quick. So they rely on this system. But then only relying on this is also a problem. Doctors are intuitive. They look at a particular pattern and they see patterns. They're qualitative. But it's also important to be a bit rational and be deliberate. So even if a particular diagnosis seems to indicate a condition, symptoms seem to indicate a particular diagnosis, you might still want to scientifically reconfirm it, because this is going to help you with management and leadership, where there's nothing intuitive, there's nothing qualitative, everything is rational and everything is scientific and deliberate. Decision-making generally is straightforward. A lot of things is unconscious in the system 1, it's conscious in system 2. It takes lower effort because it's almost automated. It's like driving a car, whereas here it needs more effort. Error rate could be high when you're instinctive. The error rate is very low when you're more deliberate. It's associative, it's analytical. The advantage is that system 1 is very fast. System 2, which is neocortex oriented, is accurate. The disadvantage is it can be biased, system 1. So doctors could get biased, but there is no room for that bias when it comes to management and leadership, because when you make a wrong decision in leadership and in the board, it affects a lot of people. When you make a wrong decision, it affects you and your patient. So as doctors, my argument is I would like to see doctors participating and guiding the boards and leadership of hospitals more enthusiastically. And for that, the content or the courses or the books that I'm writing is to equip them. And part of this is to basically say that also develop adequate deliberate thinking by moving your thinking from the limbic to the neocortex. And there are ways to do this. We don't have time to go into that today, but there are some specific techniques as to how we can go from system 1, which is biased and is kind of, easy question substitution, to a more deliberate, which does the job but uses a lot of glucose. I will finally end with the third prescription, which is to relax. You see, you have everything in life is an optimization problem, right? You have limited time, you have limited energy, and you have limited talent. And you have to apply this talent to a bunch of businesses. I'm putting it in quote. You need to have a rewarding relationship with your spouse, your husband or wife. You have to raise good kids. You have to contribute to community. You have to succeed in your career, and so on and so forth. And you have limited time. And how you allocate your time and how you allocate your energy to all of these different choices can make your life turn out to be very different than what you intended. So if you misinvest your resources, the outcome can be bad. What tends to happen is a lot of high achievement or highly ambitious professionals, which includes a lot of doctors, typically tend to overinvest in those endeavors which give them a quick return. Like, for example, you do a surgery, you see the patient getting better. Obviously, you feel great. But then when you're working with your child at home, you don't see, immediate response. You don't get that same kind of feedback. It takes time. It takes 20 years to raise a good kid. In fact, it takes an entire village to raise a kid. So what happens is we tend to unconsciously misinvest our resources and spend a lot of time at work, making money, doing the things that we need to do, put food on the table, secure our families, etc., financially. But then we fail to spend adequate time. And if you look at the root causes of business disaster, right, if you see why businesses fail, you will find the predisposition towards investing in endeavors that offer immediate gratification. When you invest time in the child is going to rebel. He's not going to behave, or she's not going to behave. You're not going to get immediate results. It's going to take time, but you have to keep at it. And therefore, when you look at personal lives through the lens of limited time, limited energy, and life is unpredictable, you will see the same sobering pattern that people are allocating fewer and fewer time to their family. And I know that it is difficult with your calls, emergencies and all of this. This is why I think that you should take your family on vacations, but don't go to this conference and you're in the conference and your wife and children are shopping or husband. Take small vacations, but take them more frequently. Only to have conversations that will improve the quality and conversation. I have always wondered, we sit in hospitals and these companies and have vision statement. We talk about culture, we talk about mission. Boss, we need to do this at home. What kind of culture do I need at home? Right? What's the vision for my family? Therefore, there's no point succeeding at work if we fail at home. And doctors don't have time. And most of the time, doctors are married to doctors. And this creates a dual problem with the time they can actually spend with the family. I don't have time to get into statistics, but there is tremendous financial impact and on productivity and efficiency in a family where there's adequate time spent having conversations. And finally, there are many components, but there are only 3 components I want you to focus on. One is leadership. One is economics. Of course, you're already clinical and some strategic. And we've created, of course, the book that I've written kind of touches on economics. I now have enough content to probably do this for doctors. So the idea is to make doctors' lives better. I will stop here, but I want to leave you with a question. Are doctors reluctant leaders? Whenever I say, doctors, I need you in the boardroom. I need you. I'm happy doing my practice. You guys handle everything. I understand that. But I think the situation today is a little bit more complex than that. We don't have time for this. This is a little bit about the book. Yeah, if you have time, have a look at it. Please send me your reviews. It's written with the sincere desire to make doctors' lives a little better, so you don't have to go attend an MBA course. Read through it. I was surprised that it became a bestseller in launch. Even today, if you go to Amazon and you click on the book, you will see that it is #1 under the medical ethics category. You can reach out to me. This barcode gives you my WhatsApp and everything. That's my LinkedIn. And I'll stop here and take questions.
Thank you very much, Sudhakarji. That's a wonderful, very crisp and appropriate talk which you have delivered. In the past couple of talks which I have heard, I seems to be thinking and rating this as the best of your talk I have heard so far. Thank you very much. And we have all the audience are doctors and most of them are pediatricians. And we have recorded this, and you will have a number of views going on, repeated views and new views in our channels. So it is preserved for eternity or posterity also. And we are really, really indebted to you. The insights which you have brought in, especially the last point, is applicable to all of us. And I have been drilling this since past 5 years in all our presentations, that whatever we achieve, ultimately you should have some family time at the end of the day. And your book definitely has dealt with it. Apart from the finances, which we talk most of the time, the personal finances, the wealth creation, wealth protection, wealth multiplication, because you did open up your talk with the financial deficit in the doctors, but knowledge, sufficiency and excellency in their mindset. So yes, that book of Daniel Kahneman quotes are really good. You have done comparing the left brain to right brain, the quick to the fast, These are all wonderful things. He himself, Daniel Kahneman himself, was a clinical psychologist who won a Nobel laureate and passed away last year. And he came up with a new book also subsequently called The Noise of the Market, How to Ignore and How to go straight forward in your goal to achieve whatever you have made as a project. So I urge all the participants to read his book, Mr. Sudhakar Jairam's. It's a very simple book, very short book, and has got a lot of insights. And it becomes our duty, especially Jairam sir is going through a terrible experience of anybody can undergo. He is through his metastatic cancer, stage 4, and still has got a courage, has got a resilience, and also the passion to talk about these things to us. Thank you very much, Jairam sir. We are really grateful, and that was a wonderful talk by you.
No, thanks for the opportunity.
We will take your services in future, as you have mentioned, if you feel so.
I am completely available. Because of my condition, I'm not able to take up full-time things. So I have a lot of time. I said I'm in a forest in the woods. So I'm here writing, reflecting. So anytime you need me, I'm available, sir, for the doctors.
I'm sure your spouse, Veena ji, will be approving your spending time with us.
No problem. Secret of a successful marriage is I don't talk too much to the wife.
So we have a couple of questions, sir, with us. I have first questions from my very good friend, Srinivas. Dr. Srinivas is a chief of a very big government hospital. He's a superintendent there. He's managing a large, complex general hospital in Hyderabad, in Golconda area, and is managed by, it's a government hospital. And he has put in a word for your comment, expert comment, and if possible, any guidelines. He says, and he has asked, Dr. Srinivas, on your behalf, I'm asking. It's okay,
yes,
right?
Sir.
Or you want to ask yourself?
Thank you, sir. No, sir, you ask, sir, please.
Okay. So he says, Sudhakarji, how do you overcome shortage of human resources and equipment in government setup, especially because he is coming from a government head of the whole hospital, very big hospital. I think 200 bedded, Dr. Srinivas?
No, sir. It's 100 bedded, sir. 100 bedded. Now they are going to increase to 200, sir. Present it's 100 bedded.
So he says how to manage the emergencies and how to have a shortage of HR and equipment to overcome in the government setup, if possible. Your answer, sir.
So firstly, Srinivas, thank you for this. I'm happy to also schedule a time offline to understand, because we have very limited time. I need to understand the nuances. But and I'm happy to do that and come back to you with some very clear ideas. One thing I feel, when you say shortage of HR, I'm assuming you're talking about doctors and nurses mainly?
Exactly, sir. Exactly, sir.
So this is a problem everywhere, right? So one way I think is to focus the doctors only on diagnosis and treatment and bring in a lot of people. See, what has happened is there's a lot of inflation. I'll give you an example, sir. 15 or 25 years ago, sir, a doctor was checking whether a person has cataract or not. You know, you don't need a doctor to check that. You can train an undergraduate or a 12th standard student and give them a protocol, which is what I think Aravind does. See, what they have done is they have got a lot of technicians and other MLOPs, they call them ophthalmic personnels, who do the work of the nurses. The nurses do the work of even anesthetists, right? So the doctors remain focused on designing the care plan only on diagnosis and treatment. So first problem is we are having our doctors doing too much paperwork. Nurses are doing too much paperwork. So we have to find some way so that time. Second is we could look at shifts. So, you know, if you have, like, you can do a 12-hour, see, when we do a 12-hour shift versus an 8-hour shift, there is a 10 to 14% difference, but you have to do it differently in different regions. Like ICU can be 12-hour, OP can be 6 hours, emergency can be 12-hour, 14 hours. So we can So I have to talk to you offline to see practically how we can address this.
Okay, sir.
Third thing is creating a training calendar.
Okay,
Keep
sir.
on, and we'll discuss this in terms of what kind of a training calendar. And in terms of equipment, there is something known as relative value units. There's a formula which we can see when an equipment becomes utilized to a particular point, we can submit so that financial and clinical safety related. So what I can do is I can make one template and send it to you. I'll take your contacts from Ajay sir, or we can just put it, if there is PATS as a knowledge forum, I can upload to it. But those are some ways in which we can address it, sir. I can also talk offline and come with the practical ways in which we can do it.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Dr. Srinivas heads a very big hospital, complex hospital, busy hospital.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr.
I
Srinivas.
will connect
Thank
with
you
you
very much,
offline,
Ajay,
sir.
sir. Thank you very much.
You can take my contacts from that. I'll actually.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
The next question is very interesting, sir. This is from our faculty member only, Dr. Pankaj Nandial Tardeja. He is a pediatrician, senior pediatrician. He did his membership and fellowship and is working in Abu Dhabi in UAE. He has asked, what's your view on Indian doctors shifting to Western and Gulf nations like UAE? And why are they shifting? Is it only the money? Or is it only the remuneration or something else? That's my insight I added, not to the question, but I want you to just give us something about it. Why they are living.
Is Dr. Pankaj on the call? Maybe he can.
Yeah, he's there. Pankaj, are you there, Dr. Pankaj?
Just say what he had in mind.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Pankaj, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
he is there.
Yeah.
Dr. Pankaj, could you mind just elaborating a little bit, because there's more to this question than what is written.
Yeah, actually, sir, we see nowadays many Indian doctors, because of work pressure or life timing or family time or money or frustration, we seen shifting mostly the Western countries. In the Western also, we are coming to now mostly the Gulf countries. Even I see, I'm here now 14 years in the UAE. So I see recently last 3-4 years trend of doctors, Indian doctors shifting from UK and USA also to UAE. So means that they are feeling the pressure, time, money, and other things. So I don't know. I shifted in 2014 because of mostly 3 reasons. The time, money was not a problem. The time was a problem for me. I was
what
working.
Was the problem? When you said time was a problem?
Time.
In India.
Working, in India, working left and right, day and night, not able to give time to family. Money was coming like anything, but I was not able to use the money. Then I thought, my friend told, why can't you try? So we tried here, then I am here. So here is the balance of time, money, everything is there. Like we are worker here, we are the full-time worker, so we get 1 month paid leave. You are only 8 to 9 hours working. Though the on paper it is 8 hours, but we work 10 hours because medical field, it does never finish on the time. But we get time, not like India. So I don't know. I just wanted to understand.
So I'm not sure I'm qualified to give you whatever I have seen. Number one, I think the kind of investment Abu Dhabi and Dubai, between HAD, the Health Authority of Abu Dhabi, and DHA, the Dubai Health Authority, and also Saudi, the kind of investments they are making is mind-boggling. Even during COVID, I think what they did, the kind of investments they're making with their digital health, with AI, they have a minister for AI, I think. They are doing something really serious. So this, I think, so when the government really takes that seriously, see in India, I mean, we can keep complaining, but, there's only so much we can do. After all, we have a legacy, so we cannot invest more than 1 or 2%, of our GDP on healthcare. Maybe it's getting a little better now. So I think that is one. The second, I think, is that probably the doctors find growing in India a problem. See, India, I've seen that one doctor does not necessarily encourage the other, because the competition is so much that sometimes there are not many doctors who will openly, train and, encourage other doctors and let them also rise. And sometimes I think doctors may feel suffocated, especially, for example, let us say, if you're an electrophysiologist, let's say if you're an EP in cardiac, you're dependent on a cardiologist. So there are, but whereas when you go to a system maybe it is different. And I think the third thing is maybe insurance, because in India we only have 30 or 40% insurance coverage, whereas there it's pretty much 100% insurance coverage. So maybe that is one big reason. Plus, Abu Dhabi is close to home. Instead of 22 hours, maybe 2 or 3 hour flight. So I think maybe that is the reason. And after the Qatar World Cup and all that, I think people have a different view of the Middle East. So maybe, I don't know. I think these may be some reasons.
Thank you, sir. Sir, unmute, sir. Sir, unmute. Dr. Ajay, sir, you have to unmute.
Dr. Ajay, you're on mute, sir.
Mute, sir.
Thank you, Sudhakarji. Dr. Pankaj, we will be welcoming you next Sunday. He is our speaker, Sudhakar sir. He's going to talk
I don't know.
on
I am not a pediatrician, but maybe you can send me the speech later. I would like to hear.
Yeah, he is an expert in exchange traded funds, so he's going to talk to us on next Sunday.
Oh, excellent.
He's preparing for that. So thanks, Pankaj, for that insight and talk and the conversation. We have a couple of comments posted by very senior doctors here, sir, regarding your sharing of your perspective on doctors' life in general, and your suggestions are very practical and relevant. This is by Ganji Shiva, senior pediatrician, and my good friend and classmate and senior and director academic of Rainbow Group of Children's Hospital, Dr. Sanjay Srirampur, a man with immense background, knowledge, and also intelligence, being a gold medalist in post-graduation. He says, thanks bringing in eloquent speakers. Sudhakar has lived amongst doctors, shared their challenges. Nice of him to empathize with doctors. That insight into medical failure as a system failure was wonderful. So thanks, Dr. Sudhakar.
He has a very, very interesting question.
Yeah.
He says, there is a question. I think.
Yeah, Shivaling, I think this is by Dr. Shivalingam. That's what you are saying?
No. Dr. Srirampur Sanjay.
Yeah, he is the one who has actually, I've read out his comment just now.
No. He has a question at the end.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, please go. What is your opinion on the place of general practice in this corporate times? Will general practice shrink? Will it spring back? We have seen general physicians are more in demand than super specialists. What is your take?
I think the choice of the discipline determines your lifetime earnings. A pediatrician, let's say Dr. Sriram, Dr. Ajay, both of you started your careers. Let's say one of you was a pediatrician and one of you was a cardiac surgeon. 25 years later, when you meet, your career earnings would be very different, right? So I think one thing is that a lot of people today are tending to look at what is the lifetime career earnings in a particular discipline, right? This is number one. Number two, somewhere, see the discipline of pediatrics, the discipline of, let's say, neurosurgery, some of these are tough ones. Probably tougher than, let's say, dermatology and some of the other practices. I don't mean to disrespect or say anything, but I feel that, so I think that this is the second reason. Third, the primary physicians who are our gatekeepers, who are our general family physician, they almost don't exist these days, right? Because I don't think they make as much money as a super specialist. So everybody is super specializing. So what is happening is this is also increasing the cost of care. So the question is, will general practice shrink? I think it is shrinking. Is there a demand? I think there is a demand. But then, every hospital is a super specialty hospital. We are not giving importance to our primary care and our secondary care facilities, right? So you have a small stomach problem, you do all kinds of batteries of tests when you go to a super specialist setup. So it's a difficult question to answer. I feel that in today's corporate setup, it is very important that we treat, if you take the NHS, I think in the NHS in the UK, the primary care physician probably makes as much money as a tertiary care hospital. Probably, I don't know. And we must do the same thing. See, India में बहुत बड़ा problem है. You know, if I have a daughter, will I give my daughter in marriage to a primary school teacher? I'll say, no, you have to be one big professor in one Allen's Academy making so much lakhs, you know. So we have this problem. We think that somehow one DM neurosurgeon is more important than a. I absolutely think India's system is broken. Everything is tertiary care. So we definitely, there is a greater need for strong primary, but how do we make it profitable? Meaning, how do we make it profitable for that doctor? And this can happen if the hospitals also change their payment mechanism. So if the payment mechanism is, abhi kya hai? The payment, you get paid for doing more. Hospital is getting paid for hip fracture and heart attack. Hospital is not getting paid for preventing a hip fracture. Hospital is not getting paid for preventing a heart attack. Only if you put a stent, you will make money. So a general physician can come back if we can pay for preventing. And there is a payment model which I have discussed in the book where you can pay. There is a model. It's called a bundled payment model or a capitated payment model. So we must find a different way, because a general physician is not going to make the kind of procedural money. So I would love to get into this discussion with Dr. Sriram Pur Sanjay sir on how we can change this payment models, or how we can examine this so we can bring this back.
Ajay, can I just put a word?
Dr. Sanjay, you are welcome. Mr. Sudhakar, he is the Dr. Sanjay Srirampur.
Sudhakar, good evening, and so nice to see you smiling despite having all challenges what you have. I am halfway through your book because Ajay sent me the link, and then the next day I ordered it in Amazon and got it on the third day. I thought I was lucky I got your book. Now the reason for asking this question is, despite in today's corporate world, if you look at, we have plenty of bad cardiologists, but we are hardly to see a good physician. And in today's world, if you see, I'm talking of general physicians, MD general medicine. An MD general medicine guy makes a lot of more money than what a DM cardiology does. And if you look at the filling up of seats for super specialties, 51% of super specialty seats are vacant now. So I think the system is perceiving that this craze for super specialty and payment for super specialty was probably myopic. So what I feel is, over a period of time, the system will bounce back. The logistics may differ, as you say, bundle payment or whatever it is. But what I see is that though you have told that doctors, we need to look at our families, we need to look at ourselves, but doctors have got a little more responsibility than what others have. You may call me a little old-fashioned, because we deal with a patient's illness and we deal with two things. One is the science and the second is the emotion or the mind. So I honestly feel that the present generation of doctors have to be taught that part of medicine which is related to healing, and that part of the medicine which deals with science. You need to combine these two things, and we need to produce a generation which rests on that. And I'm sure that over a period of time, this will, because that's the logical thing which is going to happen. I just wanted your feedback, because your words are very precious for me.
Yeah, no, sir. I feel very honored. The only difference I see is the younger doctors see it as a job. The elder senior doctors see it as a calling. I'm just making, I'm saying it in a way to contrast.
Yeah, it's in your book actually.
Yeah, it's a contrast I see. Like, I still see, senior doctors. I have a friend, he's 62, but he's still going on calls. But younger doctors will think twice. Now, all I'm saying is that it's not that the younger doctors are wrong. I sometimes feel that when you, what should I say? I'm myself confused about which is the right approach, so to speak. But then your question about the 51% super specialty going vacant, is it going vacant because people are waking up, or is it going vacant because they know life is difficult?
I think we need to brainstorm that, because people are realizing that probably, see, if you, let's say Hyderabad has got a saturation of 100 cardiologists, and if you have 120 cardiologists, and every super specialist needs to have a hospital attachment to practice what he has learned. So there is a saturation which is happening over a period of time. And I personally, I've been in the teaching since the last 40 years. So I have seen in and out of medicine. MD General Medicine at one point of time was thought to be a stepping stone for a career towards super specialties. Now, people who are taking MD medicine are just sticking with an MD General Medicine. They are shunning, even DM cardiology is going vacant. That may sound, because DM cardiology was the most prized degree which a doctor would dream of. So I just wanted your feedback that will the cycle rotate back again?
Or is it because the government gave too many approvals? There are like what?
Yeah, partly yes.
I know 10 years ago, there were 35,000 seats. Today, there are like 150,000 seats.
Absolutely.
So there is also this, kind of an illogical, irrational approvals of so many medical colleges.
Perfect.
But I don't know if there are as many super specialty. I don't know the difference in the number of seats. So it's also just like the IITs have, some of the IITs are not as, the new IITs probably are not as good as Delhi or a Chennai or a Mumbai.
Perfect.
Because it's difficult. So I also feel that too many seats may be a problem.
You are right. So we need to brainstorm it and find out what's the way around. But just wanted your feedback, and you have given it that obviously general practice needs its place in today's medicine.
I think we should promote it aggressively. But as somebody said in the UK, I think Dr. Shiva sir, Ganji Shiva sir, in the UK, NHS GP is most sought after. So maybe it will happen here soon. But they should get paid also.
Because the present general practitioner is only a pediatrician.
Yeah. And also, I think we should reduce this number of years. I mean, well, you can't be studying until 33, 34 years. It's just way too long. And
no, I think people are choosing to study rather than practice, actually. So I honestly feel that at some point of time, like an MBBS guy today, he doesn't do anything. You ask him, what is your aim? He says his aim is to get post-graduation. You ask him at post-graduation, what is his aim? I want to do super specialized. At some point of time, he needs to get down and practice still what he has learned. So I think as teachers, as motivators like you and Ajay, we need to brainstorm and then find out what we teach our students.
One thing I notice is, as an engineering student, I did from REC Jaipur and IIT Kanpur and then from FMS. In engineering, we always had a plant economics, leadership. We had those courses. But when I speak to my friends in medicine, those courses don't seem to be there. Maybe I'm wrong. Whether those courses on psychology.
You see the greatest person here, Ajay, is teaching all over the country. So sincere thanks, Ajay, for bringing Sudhakar. I rarely come, but seeing your name, I said I should attend this 1 hour's lecture. Thank you so much.
He's a mesmerizing speaker with great insight. I have heard him 4 times. Thank you, Sanjay, for that comment. Mr. Sudhakar, there is a nice comment by my another senior from UAE, Dr. Shivalingam. He is also a pediatrician. He did mention that he is able to do family and job balance. Yes, working in UAE, in Oman. In Oman, not UAE. And really, he is doing a good job there. And we are happy to know that the work-life balance is able to spend time with his family. That's Dr. Shivalingam at Oman. And we have got, I think, lack of time. We will skip now. But Rajendra Prasad has just mentioned too many seats is a problem. You just talked about it. And there are not enough job opportunities for super specialists in government and private sector. Well, that is a controversial statement. We can debate about it. Again, Dr. Ganji has said that they need to do 4 years course of CGP in England to be a general practitioner again. So there is a course for family physician, etc. So if anybody else wants to interact with Mr. Sudhakar Jairam sir, first I want you to buy his book and read it also after you going from here. It's a gem of a book. Rarely we come across such a thing for doctors, and you open up and talk to him directly. Jairam sir, There is
Thank
one.
you, Dr. Ajay. You know, it was a wonderful speech, and I really enjoyed the view with how he looked at the importance of general practice and what was the basic reasons why our new graduates are resorting to super specialty. I, as Dr. Sanjay Srirampur was telling, I feel the tide is reversing.
I hope so. We have a building without the foundation.
Yeah, inverted pyramids.
Inverted pyramids. That's true.
So, if any Yashwant, any question, Dr. Yashwant?
No, sir. I'm just listening to him. I'll once read Sudhakar sir book and then come back.
Yeah, please. My email is there. I'm happy
Yeah,
to.
I've seen, sir. I've seen.
Yeah, I'm also, happy to. That's my WhatsApp number. Any questions? Ajay sir has all my contacts.
Yeah.
It's not about money. It's not about anything. I'm sitting, so I'm available. Use me. Anything I can do to build any templates. Bela betha hoon to my time will be used well. So feel free to reach out anytime. And Dr. Ajay, thank you for the opportunity. Always
Thank
a
you
pleasure.
very much for that. As there are no more questions, we have got senior people in the audience like Chapeswaran, Dr. Naresh Biyani, who's from Mumbai, is a neurosurgeon himself in a pediatric specialty, which is rare.
Wow.
So thank you very much. And once again, tell you to go ahead and book this book before probably it goes out of print. Kindly order and read a simple book of just a few pages, and you can just go through as a casual reading also with good insights. So thank you, Sudhakar ji. We'll, if the future permits, we'll again invite you to join us here. Thank you very much. And now we take leave. And this recording is
resource available to you, sir. Whenever you need me, I'm there. Thank you.
We are available. This recording is also everywhere. You can see repeatedly and again to those who have missed from our group. And any questions are there, you can put in the group. I'll forward it to Sudhakar Jairam for getting in touch with you or also answering in general questions. Thank you. We'll leave it here.
Bye. Have a good one. Bye.
Jayaraman sir has joined in from Palkad.
Yeah, he has put in a
Yes, sir.
comment.